everybody. This is Vince Miller. Thanks so much for joining me today. Today, our devotional is from Acts chapter 25. I'm going to read verses 1 through 12. It reads, "Now 3 days after Festus is the new governor in town, had arrived in the province, he went up to Jerusalem from Caesarea. And the chief priests and the principal men of the Jews laid out their case against Paul, and they urged him, asking a favor against Paul, that they summon him to Jerusalem, because they were planning an ambush to kill him on the way. Festus replied that Paul was being kept in Caesarea and that he himself intended to go there shortly. So, he said, let the men of authority among you go down with me. And if there is anything wrong about the man, let them bring charges against him. After he stayed among them not more than 8 or 10 days, he went down to Caesarea, and the next day he took his seat on the tribunal and ordered Paul to be brought. When he had arrived, the Jews who had come down from Jerusalem stood around him, bringing many and serious accusations against him that they could not prove. Paul argued in his defense. He said, "Neither against the law of the Jews, nor against the temple, nor against Caesar have I committed any offense." But Festus, wishing to do the Jews a favor now, said to Paul, "Do you wish to go up to Jerusalem and there be tried on these charges before me?" But Paul said, "I am standing before Caesar's tribunal, where I ought to be tried. To the Jews I have done no wrong, as you yourself know very well. If then I'm a wrongdoer and have committed anything for which I deserve to die, I do not seek to escape death. But if there is nothing to these charges against me, no one can give me up to them. I appeal to Caesar." Then Festus, when he had conferred with his council, answered, "To Caesar you have appealed. To Caesar you will go." Now, the governor that followed Felix, the governor of the last chapter of the book, was a man named Porcius Festus. And he appears to get right to work on this issue about Paul. He's a little bit more interested in settling this matter because, well, he's new to his political office, and he's looking for some small wins to earn him some favor with the people. And remember, there's a super high population of Jews in his region. So right here, we see he's going to try to throw them a bone. But notice that the Jewish leaders will not let this matter go. I mean, they have fostered a grudge with Paul for about 2 years now. That's how much time has transpired since the last chapter. Felix basically protected Paul. And now on day one, these Jews, they resurrect the issue all over again. But they're not looking actually to make any progress on the case. They just want to kill Paul by convincing Festus, the new governor, to transport him back down to Jerusalem. But Festus doesn't play into their original plan as they expect. Instead of bringing Paul to Jerusalem, Festus travels to Caesarea and has the Jewish leaders come with him. And then there he calls for Paul. And Paul still clarifies his innocence. He finally then plays his ultimate trump card, which is an appeal to the most powerful person in the land, Caesar himself. You know, this whole thing and situation here is sad, really. It's sad how long the religious leaders hold on to this vendetta against Paul, mainly because it's based on biblical misunderstanding and, well, religious self-righteousness. I mean, after 2 years, their plot never changes. They have convinced themselves that actually killing Paul is a righteous decision. And they want a Roman authority to actually find him guilty. What they want him to do is cite him with inciting an insurrection, hoping that the government will do their dirty work for them. And even though the government finds no guilt in Paul and everything's working against them, they're not going to change their mind about Paul. Does any of this sound like events happening in our world today? Does it? Of course it does. You know, I think one way that God makes his will known to us is actually through the circumstances of life. You know, when God closes a door to one opportunity, he will sometimes open the door to another. And yet sometimes out of stubbornness, instead of taking the other door, we keep trying to open the closed door over and over and over again. If this is the case in your life today, then maybe it's time to stop addressing the door and start addressing the person who keeps trying to open the door that God has closed. And remember, there's a vast difference between spiritual determination and religious indignation. What we need is more of the former and less of the latter. So the lesson today is this: stop being so stubborn and just listen and respond to God's will. Hard message, but I love you guys. Listen carefully. Share it with someone you know. Do me a favor, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and I'll see you right back here again tomorrow.